Hi guys, I'm Ivory and welcome to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing 5 looks using the Tati Beauty Textured Neutrals palette. For anyone that doesn't know, this is what it looks like. It is absolutely beautiful. All of the information about this palette, as well as the link if you are interested in purchasing this palette, will be in my description box below. So be sure to look in my description box if you want more information about it. But I just wanted to get into the fun part of the video as soon as possible because we got a lot of ground to cover. But before we get into the video, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post new videos every single week. And also be sure to follow me on my social media. Everything is _IvoryCherry. All right, so if you are new here, first of all, welcome. Before I go into each one of the looks, I like to give a little preview so that you know what order they're gonna be in. So the first look is gonna be a super simple brown neutral look with glitter. I used all the shades in the column Soothe. So in that look, you're gonna be able to see all the textures. The second look is a dark nighttime look, again, focusing mostly on one column. So the second look mostly showcases the colors from the column Memory. The third look is a cut crease. It is a mixture of both the column Story as well as Poet. The fourth look is a Halo Eye, and that one focuses mostly on just Story. And the fifth look is the one that I'm wearing now, which focuses mostly on the column Poet. And on the last look, which is the look that I'm wearing right now, I will also be doing a 10-hour wear test to see how much fallout, if any, the glitters create on my face. Because I am just using my fingers and applying directly onto my lid. I'm not using a glitter primer. So I think it's helpful to know whether or not there's going to be a lot of fallout created from not using a glitter primer or not. To save you a little bit of time, I always put the timestamps of each of the looks in my description box below if you want to skip around. And I'll also give a timestamp of my final review at the end of this video. All right, that's all I had to say. So let's get into the first look. Starting off with the base before I go in with any eyeshadow. For each of the looks that I'm creating, the base is going to be the same. I first go in with the Makeup Revolution Define and Conceal Foundation. I apply that all over the lid, but I mostly use that to clean up my eyebrows. And then right on top, I use the NYX White Eyeshadow Primer. All right, so with a fluffy brush, I'm going into the matte shade of the column Soothe. I'm gonna apply that all over the lid, starting off really low, and then once I have less product on the brush is when I'm gonna start buffing it upwards, just so that everything looks nice and soft and well blended. And then with a Sigma E25 brush, I'm gonna go into the Sequin formula of Soothe. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know how to tell you what shade I'm going into, because to me, the names down here and then the names on the side seem like coordinates to me. So I'm thinking of the shades in like a latitude, longitude type of way. That's the way I've been thinking about it, so hopefully that works out for all of us. Cool, I thought so too. But I'm gonna take the Sequin formula of the column Soothe and I'm gonna apply that all over the lid. I want you guys to see what it looks like because there is a little bit of gold reflect in it. It is technically a matte shade with like a little bit of sparkle in it. You can see that it reflects a little bit, you know, if I go back and forth like this. I also tried using my finger with this. I feel like it shows up a little bit better, but again, the contrast isn't really drastic, so it's really subtle. I'm not gonna do it on this eye because I already tried it on this eye. I tried wetting my brush with setting spray and then going back into that shade. It really didn't make a difference. It pretty much looks like this no matter what. I definitely can see it close up, but most people aren't gonna notice that you have a little bit of shimmer on your eye. It still blends really nicely, but I don't know, if it doesn't really show up, then the matte shade and the sequin shade are basically the same thing. But it's super subtle. It's like a little secret that only you know it's there. You know, like when your bra matches your panties, like no one else knows, but you know. It's like that, but also nothing like that. I'm gonna take the same Sigma E25 brush and I'm now going into the metallic from the Soothe column and I'm gonna apply that right on top of the sequin shade. You probably could just go straight into this one, but when I was doing this eye, I wanted to use all the shades to see what they look like. So I have to follow the exact same steps, but in theory, I think you could just add this color only. And I'm just using the brush to get an outline, but I am gonna go in with my finger and then intensify it a little bit more. I always feel like it looks best when applied with a finger. I'm next gonna take a Sigma E44 brush. I'm gonna go back into the matte shades from Soothe as well as Ritual. I'm gonna use that to deepen the outer V just because I feel like the outside looks a little bit flat. I wanna add a little bit more dimension. And I like to place it at an angle, so kind of like this motion, just so that it has the very loose shape of a wing. I think that's very flattering, at least for my eye shape. That's what I like. And then lastly, with my finger, I'm gonna go into the glitter from the column Soothe. And I'm gonna place that on 2/3 of my lid. I'm not gonna cover the outer V and just be a little bit careful. I don't don't want it to go up too high. I've used both a brush as well as my finger, and you will definitely get the best payoff with your finger. I'm just gonna fine tune some of the details. I'm gonna add a little bit of color back and take this time to assess and make sure that both looks on either eye look about the same. Moving on to the lower lash line, I'm gonna take the same fluffy brush that I used for the matte shade of Soothe. I'm gonna pinch the bristles and go right back into it, and I'm gonna apply that to my lower lash line. And once there's less product, I don't have to pinch the bristles anymore, and I'll just run it under my lower lash line just to blend out all the edges. With a pencil brush, I'm gonna go into the metallic from the Aura column, and I'm gonna apply that to both my inner corner as well as my brow bone. And I didn't wet my brush, I just used them dry. And I'm also gonna use that shade to highlight the tip of my nose as well as the bridge of it. I actually feel like it might be a little bit too white for my complexion, so I'm gonna go in with my e.l.f. highlighter, and I'm gonna go right on top of it. I actually tried to use the same shade to highlight on my cheeks when I was doing my base. I still felt like it was too fair for me, so I ended up doing the same thing, mixing it with my highlighter from e.l.f. All right, so all that's left to do is apply some mascara. I don't want to put falsies for this look and then throw on a lip. I think with this look being super neutral, a vampy lip, a nude lip, so whatever you're feeling that day, I think will work for this look. And this is it. This is the first completed look. It's super easy, very wearable. You can take off the glitter if you feel like it's too much. And even though I didn't stick to the column, you don't have to go in with the dark brown from Ritual, but I just felt like it was necessary for this look to add a little bit more depth and drama. And I'm super amazed how well the glitter is staying without any glitter primer. I've never experienced a formula quite like this before. So we're off to a good start, but we have many more looks to do, so let's move on to the second look. So starting off with a fluffy brush, I'm gonna go into the same shade that I did for the first look, which is the matte shade from Soothe. And I'm gonna apply a very thin layer of that all over the lid. You don't have to worry too much about building it up. I'm kind of just carelessly applying it everywhere because as you can see, it is in the background, but it is by no means the star of the show. And it doesn't need to be in the middle because the black is gonna cover that right up. No matter what shade I use, I always start really low, and then as I have less product, I move it upwards. And since my base is done, I'm gonna take the same brush, pinch the bristles. I'm gonna apply that to my lower lash line to save myself just a little bit of time. And then with a Sigma E25 brush, I'm gonna go into the sequin formula of the column Memory, and I'm gonna start off really small. When you're dealing with an all black look like this, start off really little and then blend outwards because this can get really messy really fast. So I'm gonna start off with like a little ball right here, very close to my lash line, and then taking a clean small taper brush, you're gonna blend the edges. And as you can see, this shade is kind of similar to the last shade. It has a little bit of reflect on it. It's a little bit more noticeable, I will admit, than the last sequin shade that I used, but again, it doesn't show that much. I'm gonna go in with my finger right now. You see, like, that does a lot better with my finger, and it's a lot more noticeable, but with a brush it's very faint. I'm still working on blending out the black and really taking my time with this step. All right, so afterwards I'm gonna go in with a clean Morphe M506 brush, and I'm gonna continue to buff out these edges so that everything is nice and smoky and soft. And I also want to go back into the matte shade from Soothe, which was that light brown, and run it around the edges once more, so I feel like I lost it a little bit. And then last but not least, I'm gonna go in to the glitter from the Memory column, and I'm gonna apply that all over my lid. And if you feel like you want to manipulate the glitter a little bit better and with your finger it's a little too hard, I've been going in with a really teeny tiny flat shader brush, and it's dry by the way, but I've been using that to like really concentrate glitters in a certain area and strategically place it just a little bit more. With a Morphe M410 brush, I'm gonna go into the sequin shade one more time from the column Memory, and I'm going to tight line my lower lash line, but I'm not gonna go all the way in. I'm just gonna go a little past halfway, like at the 60% mark, if that makes sense. And then with the same clean M506, I'm gonna smoke it out just a little bit. And with that flat shader brush that I've been using for the glitter, I'm gonna go back into that same shade that's already on my lid, and I'm gonna apply that throughout my lower lash line. But I'm gonna apply a little bit less of it at the corner. It's gonna be really concentrated right here in the inner corner, and then it just kind of gradually fades out. And just like that, look number 2 is all complete. If you're not ready to do all black like this, because I will admit it is quite dramatic, then I would go with the next shade over, like the dark brown, but then still go in with the black silver glitter. It will still be dramatic, but it'll be a level down from what I just did. But just like the other look, this is super easy. You can be a little bit messy. You can definitely make it extra glam by, you know, maybe doing a cut crease instead, or even dragging out the black even more to make it kind of grunge. I think you get the point. Okay, let's move on to look number 3. All right, so with a fluffy brush, I'm gonna go into the matte shade from the column Story, and I'm gonna apply that basically all all over my eyelid except the eyelid, because as you can see on this side I cut the crease, so I'm going to be carving that portion out anyways. And then with a Morphe M506 brush, I'm going to go into the matte shade in the column Aura. I'm going to use that to blend out Story. It's not super noticeable on my skin tone, but I did do it on the other eye because I wanted to see how it would look on my skin, so now I know. I'm going to go back into the orange just to re-intensify a little bit. And then with a flat shader brush, I'm going to take my Maybelline Age Rewind Concealer and I'm going to cut my crease. I'm going to go in with a different flat shader brush and I'm going to go into the metallic from the Aura column and I'm going to apply that to half of the area where there is concealer laid down. I'm also going to use my finger to apply it just because I feel like it makes it way more pigmented and vibrant. And I want to use this brush again, so I'm going to go in with my color switch to get rid of the shadow I just used. And then I'm going to go into the metallic from the column Poet. And I'm going to apply that to the second half of the lid. First using a dry brush, and then once I have it laid down, go in with my second layer using my fingers. And then without cleaning the brush, I'm going to go back into the first metallic that I used on the inner part of my eye. And I'm going to use that color to blend it in the middle so that it's not a harsh line between the two colors. And then with a small tapered brush, I'm going to mix both the mattes from Story as well as Poet. I'm going to use that to darken out my outer V. And then for the lower lash line, I'm going to go back into that orange matte shade from Story and I'm going to run that on my lower lash line. I just realized I have tape on this side and there's no tape on this side. Yum, yum. We'll come back to this problem in a second. I'm next gonna go in with my Sigma gel liner and I'm gonna create a wing. And once I have my wing down, I'm gonna use the black that is in her palette. I'm gonna take that on an angled brush and I'm gonna set my gel liner. I do this all the time with any black powder, so it's kind of convenient that there is a matte shadow in this palette. All right, and then once the wing is down, I'm gonna go in with a flat shader brush and I'm gonna go into the glitter from the column Aura. And I'm gonna very lightly apply that on my lid. And I don't want it to cover up the eyeshadow because then what would be the point of doing all that work? I just want it to be scattered all around. I'm gonna use a makeup wipe to sharpen this up. It's not gonna look exact, but it's close enough. I'm gonna touch up this area, add some mascara, false lashes, and then that is a wrap for this look. All right, so this is the third completed look. I don't really have anything more to add other than I just love this look. I don't think it's necessary to say something at the end of every look, so we're just gonna move on with look number 4. Starting off with a fluffy brush, I'm gonna go into the sequin formula of the column Story and I'm gonna apply that all over the lid. As you can see, when you use a fluffy brush, none of the gold that I can see in the pan actually shows up. This is what it looks like with the brush. Like, let me show you what it looks like with the finger. Now you can see the gold. I understand the concept behind it and it sounds good because it's like a little hint of something, but it seems like it doesn't take a lot of effort for it to be moved away. Like, you can only get that reflectiveness with your finger and nothing else. And then taking a flat shader brush, I'm gonna go in with my Maybelline Age Rewind Concealer and I'm gonna carve out my halo eye. So I just go straight into the center and kind of bring it down just so that I know where the middle is. The top part I think is the most important, just making sure that the curve is really structured. The rest, it kind of all gets blended, so I don't focus too much on that aspect. And then with my finger, I'm gonna go into the metallic from the same column Story. I'm gonna apply that exactly where I just applied the concealer. I'm gonna use my finger to cover most of it, but I do go in with a flat shader brush to get really precise up top. And then with a small taper brush, I'm gonna go into the mattes from both Story as well as Ritual, and I'm gonna buff out the edges of the metallic that we applied down. And one thing, if you feel like this is too harsh, like sometimes to me, I can kind of mess this part up and it looks like too boxy. I'll just take my finger and kind of blend out the edges. And then I'm gonna go in with the mattes and further blend it out. And then lastly, I'm gonna go into the glitter formula from the column Story, and I'm gonna tap that in the center. So for the lower lash line, I'm gonna go into the same fluffy brush that we used for the sequin shade in Story, but I'm gonna take that shade, I'm gonna tap off the excess because that was a lot. Pinch the bristles and then run that on my lower lash line. And then I'm gonna take a clean Morphe M506 brush. I'm just gonna diffuse the lines so that they're not harsh. And then taking a flat liner brush, I'm gonna go into the matte shade from Ritual and I'm going to tight line my lower lash line. And after that, all that's left is to add some mascara and some false lashes, and then look number 4 will be all complete. All right, we are down to the last look. And this is gonna be the one that I wear all day because I want to see the glitter fallout situation. So for this look, I'm gonna start off course. I'm going in with a fluffy brush as per usual. I'm gonna go into the sequin formula of the column Poet. The shadows have quite a bit of kick up, which doesn't bother me, but I just thought I would warn you about that. And I'm gonna blend this basically all over the eye, switching between my brush and also using my finger. I think out of all the sequins, this one's probably my favorite other than the black one. I feel like this one has a pretty good contrast. But again, once I blend out these edges, you can see like it's all matte. So they're easily blended away. So as I continue to blend, I also go in with my finger and pat in the center because I want to keep some of that blue reflect in there. And then with a clean Morphe M506 brush, I'm going to further blend out these edges. And if you feel like they're not blended enough, you can also mix in a little bit of Aura, the matte shade, and that'll help lighten out the edges as well. And then I'm going to go into the glitter formula from the same column, Poet, and I'm going to put that all over my eye. I've done glitter in every single one of the looks, but I love glitter and it's here and it's so eye-catching and it's such a simple thing to add to a look and it just adds so much zhuzh to it. And then with my finger again, I'm gonna go into another glitter formula. This one is from the column Aura and I'm only gonna tap that in the center. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna be wearing this eye look all day. It's gonna be about 10 hours because I am doing a foundation wear test as well today. I just wanted to show you the glitter situation right now. Part of it is my fault because I did have glitter on my fingers and as I was adding primer, it kind of got smeared into it. So there's just a little bit already existing. It's more so on this side than anything, but I wanted to show you the before so that we can compare how much, if any, will fall off in a couple hours. So I'll see you in, well, this is edited, so the next clip is going to be at the end of the day. Just, I'll say that. All right, so it is now 10 hours later and I haven't touched my eyes or done anything with my eyes. As you can see, or maybe you can't see, maybe it'll help if I like tilt my face like this so you can see the reflection of the glitters that are on my face. There's a little bit on my upper lip, but I would say for the most part, it's scattered in this region. And I had that prior to starting the wear test because like I said, I messed up. My fingers had the glitter and then when I put primer all over, I smeared it right into my base. Good job, me. So I feel like not a lot of glitter, if any, hasn't fallen off since I started the wear test. So the fact that I have this much glitter still, despite having no glitter primer on, is absolutely phenomenal. So I can definitely attest that you don't need it and it will stay on pretty well. You might have, you know, a couple specks here and there, but it's not like it's gonna be completely off your eyes. Okay, so my final thoughts of this palette. I think you'll already know I love it. It is beautiful. It is right up my alley. I love neutrals. The glitter formula is unlike anything I've ever seen. They're definitely my favorite part of this entire palette. I would even like if Tati came out with a palette of just glitters because I already have so many eyeshadow palettes, but I don't have a lot of glitters, especially since I have to go through the work of glitter primer. Like if she came out with a palette of just like amazing glitters, just like this, I would totally get it. With all the shadows that I use, I mean, I used a lot. I didn't feel like there was any blendability issues, easy to layer up, and it was easy to also like mix and match. You didn't have to stick to one color store. You could go across the board. As far as the sequin shades versus the matte shades, here's my thing. Because I feel like you can use the sequin shade with a fluffy brush and it will basically be a matte, I almost would prefer if this entire matte row was gone. I know quite a few people say vice versa, but to me, we all have shades like this somewhere in one of our palettes. These are old news, but these are like the 2.0 version of the mattes. Well, not like 2.0. It's like, you remember that episode on Friends where it's like Ross and Russ? It's just like that. It's like night, later that night. So I feel like since this does have a matte base to it and it does have a little bit of reflect, it is a little bit more interesting to me than the mattes. So even though the sequin shades may not have a lot of pop to it in terms of the reflect, if you use your finger, you will see a hint of it. But if you don't want to see it, then you just use a fluffy brush like I did. Just like that, these two rows are identical. Another thing I want to point out is that the matte and sequins do have quite a bit of kickback to it. I personally don't care about that, especially since they still performed really well in my eyes. Just know that you might want to do your eyes first. Well, I mean, if you're gonna go in with glitter, then yeah, definitely do your eyes first. But overall, I'm really digging this palette. I love the mirror on this. Like, this is a really nice mirror. This doesn't feel like that cheap plastic. Like, this feels like a mirror. The packaging is, I mean, I'm not a huge packaging person. I just care about what's on the inside. I know I'm so deep, but the fact that it's just beautiful from the inside out, it just gets a little extra star because of that. So if you are interested in this palette, I don't think you're gonna be disappointed about it. It is spectacular. For me, this was the easiest 5 looks ever. Like, I've only ever done 3 looks with one palette, and coming out with 5, it was just a piece of cake for me because all of them are just so complementary to each other. This palette feels almost foolproof to me. And I can't say enough good things about this palette. So I'm just gonna end it there. I hope you found this tutorial and review helpful. And if you did, don't forget to like this video and feel free to comment down below what other types of videos you'd like to see from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.